Your argument is far too long-winded
Okay,
and makes
I'll break it.
absolute no sense
Okay.
whatsoever.
I'll put it into
just
premises.
makes no sense.
Wait,
Is that meant to be so?
Would you like me to put it into premises?
It just does not make sense.
Yeah, but does that make his argument false though? Because then you're committing a fallacy. Because you're saying doesn't make sense, therefore it's not true. That's a fallacy.
No, I'm just saying I don't believe in a God.
Yeah,
I'm
why
just
though?
saying you still can't prove it.
Okay,
but he's doing-
What your argument is, you're just saying you're just
okay.
talking a lot of long words
I'm
and a lot of philosophy.
He's gonna break it down for you.
The reason why I have to talk in long words is because in order for you to understand the argument, you have to understand the philosophical.
Wait. You're gonna make an argument. Your argument is
Wait.
gonna be
I'm
blank.
gonna.
You're gonna make that point.
Wait.
You're gonna make it heard.
Well, you're interrupting the point,
No,
so of course you're not
what
going to be
I'm
able to
saying is your
understand.
argument's too long.
So wait. Listen to it,
I don't
and then
have the
maybe you
patience for
understand. Okay. Well, if you don't have the patience for that, you don't have the patience for truth. But the point which I'm making is before I
Got a point.
present the argument, there has to be a certain metaphysical buttressing to it for you to understand it. But I can just give you the syllogistic form of the argument right now, right? So premise one, some things are in motion, right? So for example, burning wood, me moving my hand to the right. Some things are in motion. Premise two, either everything is a secondary mover, A, or there is at least one primary mover.
No. It is a complete load of nonsense.
How is it?
Talking.
How is it?
It's just a whole load.
Can you explain to us? Can you give us a
Yeah,
justification?
it's just like I said. If you're gonna have an argument, you're gonna go bang. This is my argument. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm trying to
For
prove.
God's existence is because he just doesn't understand it. But that's just fallacious. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not true.
That's what I was saying. Come on, bro. Oh, he walked off. Come on, man. Be intellectually honest.
Okay.
Be intellectually honest.
Guys,
There you go.
just because the atheist left, I'm going to break down to you guys
What happened there?
some proof for God's existence, okay? We can do this in two ways, which I prefer in the Thomistic tradition, but we're just going to talk about one way right now, which is called the argument from motion, which St. Thomas Aquinas uses as his first way to prove that a God exists. Now guys, keep in mind that when you are proving that God exists, atheists usually want empirical evidence, but we do not believe in a physical God. We do not believe that God is physical, like this floor here, like my glove, like my hand. God is an immaterial being, okay? So in order to prove a God, we're not going to appeal to empirical standards. And the way in which we can know things exist, the way we can know things outside of the empirical method is because you can't even prove the empirical method empirically. So how do we also prove things? Through philosophy, right? We can prove things through philosophy. So in interacting with the world and perceiving it into our intellect, we can understand certain things about the natural order of things through reasoning, right? And this is where St. Thomas Aquinas, through looking at the world, and Aristotle, through looking at the world, understand an argument for God's existence called the argument from motion. Now, what is motion? Motion is the actualization of a potential. For example, if I move my hand to the left, my hand right now is potentially to the left, and now it's actually to the left. I could potentially stop speaking, and now I'm actually stopped speaking. So what motion is the actualization of a potential, right? So premise one is just change exists. And premise two is but change is the actualization of potential. And we understand that everything that exists right now has received its actuality or its existence from another thing. For example, I received my existence because my parents procreated to create me, okay? That's where I received my actuality from. So Thomas potentially existed, and then once that act happened, they actually existed. Now the question is, does a primary mover exist? Now what a primary mover is an unmoved mover. That thing which does not receive its actuality, however, it gives actuality to other things. This is what we call God. So either everything is a secondary mover, which is something which receives actuality, this is premise 3, or there is at least one primary mover, which is what we call God, which is the way God knows things is through himself, right? God knows all things through the possession of forms without becoming them. However, if this immaterial being causes all things, according to the principle of proportionate causation, that which causes a thing possesses the form of that thing, or possesses that thing within itself, right? For example, if I were to give you £5, I must have possessed £5 in order to give it to you first, right? God, in causing creation, must have in some sense possessed it before causing it. But yet, since he's a purely actual being, he could not have been creation himself. Thus, God possesses the forms of these things without actually becoming them, and thus God has a real intellect and a will. So we understand that God exists just through Aquinas' reasoning of the argument from motion. But the gentleman over there ran away. There's lots more I'd like to say on it, but we'll just wrap it up there. I don't know if there's anything you want to close with it.
What do you think? What do you think of Matt Dillahunty? Do you think you are? Would
Right.
he be a worthy opponent for a debate?
I would love to one day be able to debate someone like Matt Dillahunty, but I think what Matt Dillahunty does fundamentally, and Bob even debated him a little bit on something, is he usually does this thing where he tries to shift the burden of proof onto someone else, right? When you're an atheist, right, what does atheist mean? It's not an agnostic. An atheist is theist. Is the negation of theist. It's not just the lack of belief in a God, it's that you do not believe there is a God. There is no God. It's the rejection of a God exists, exactly. So there is still some burden of proof, even on the atheists themselves, right? So I would ask Matt Dillahunty, if he was debating or something like that, what proof do you have of this? He's probably going to come up with an argument from evil or something, and we would just come up with a theodicy to refute that.
Oh, bro, come on.
Joseph is Jesus'
All
father.
right, Thomas, thank you.
Yeah.
So anyway, tell the family about your channel, how to subscribe.
Yeah, man. I've got a YouTube channel as well called Thomas Apologia. If you guys want to subscribe and help out, I would love to see that. Subscribe, like, comment. That would be
Hit
amazing.
the notification button right now.
Yeah, hit the notification button right now.
That now, guys.
And we're going to be going over lots of Thomistic metaphysics, philosophy, arguments for God's existence. I haven't really covered this too in depth, so don't get onto me too much for not going into everything about the argument from motion or the de ente or anything right now. But look, that's it. That's a wrap. Subscribe to Thomas Apologia. We out.
Any who God bless.
God bless.
That's it. Bless.